Let's look at some examples of how your gym could be experiencing environmental friction without your knowledge. And this will happen when we look closely at the setup and we're able to identify through our knowledge of how we know gym spaces are used, how we know equipment is used, how equipment moves, and how people move through a space. We're able to consider all these things to be able to set up the equipment the right way. And so today we're going to look at some examples of just how we did that just recently in Westlands. So in this image, you can see where the Smith machine was originally, tightly against the wall which has a mirror. This is a very heavy, wide, and versatile piece of equipment that you want to place in a way that is accessible for a better user experience. It being against a mirror works very much against the user experience. Where you can see a small dumbbell rack and some kettlebells on the floor, that's where you had to try and access the Smith machine from to be able to load it. There's the potential for members to trip over, first of all, the legs of the Smith machine themselves and some of the other equipment that you can see there on the floor, like the kettlebells, some dumbbells. There's even a plate that someone had left there. So again, human behavior matched up with your environment. It's not just the equipment itself, but it's how people are using the equipment that will further impact the level of safety and usability of your space. Removing the weights, unracking the weights from the rack to be able to load the machine is also another challenge. So it was a bit of an awkward position to have to load the machine from. That poses a risk to the user. Again, we're thinking about safety, we're thinking about usability. On the other side of the Smith machine, you can see that yes, there's a bit more space on this side. However, you'll see that the multi-station, meaning the cable station, was right next to it. And if you know anything about cable stations, the cable is able to pivot around its axis. So usually people can use it from any direction that they're standing. So in that case, then that particular area was being used for the multi-station. So you found that users using the cable would often block that space. So what happens is somebody that is using the Smith machine will be obstructed by the person who is using the cables. And again, that's a safety risk and also just a user headache. Now, I will say the other side of all this is the fact that for the most part, members were used to the gym functioning this way. There's so much opportunity for more efficient movement, setup, and even safety, as well as improve the overall environment of your space, reducing that friction in the environment overall, and giving your members a better experience. Shujaa Performance Lab is in the business of considering all these factors for you, removing the headache of trying to figure out the ideal way to plan your space. Your space ought to be optimized to work the best for your clients as well as for your own business. And that's why we are here to provide you with the service to think through these things, to execute on a high level, and to be able to bring your space to a place that performs at that high level.